And to me, probably the show that I've been looking forward to the most for this season is here. The first episode now finally available to the public, because I know a lot of you people like managed to go and get that at Comic-Con, managed to get like these episodes quite early, but none of the rest of us get to experience it now. And it's time for some fabulous GANGSTARS with Jojo Part 5. And surprisingly enough, it's like with this season of Jojo is going to be quite interesting, to say like the least, and all that. As someone that, like, as you know and all that, if you've been following the channel for a while, I've been covering Jojo since pretty much, yeah, since like I got into it, since like when it first came out in the 2012 versions. Watched it since then, and then pretty much after part 2 I ended up just reading all of Jojo for the most part, like, and as of recently gone through like part 7. At the moment, I'm not gone through part 8 yet. It's still a little weird for me to go through a part that isn't finished yet, but again, this season is very interesting, as part 5 is a very interesting part for a lot of people, as for a lot of which I found out, a lot of the people that are making this and a lot of the kind of the Japanese side of the fans of the audience, this is a lot of their favorite parts. A lot of people over on the east side consider this to be their favorite part of Jojo, period, and there was a lot of people really anticipating this part. Meanwhile, for me and a majority of people, I would say, is that people consider part 5 one of the weaker parts, but that is no insult to this part, because there are still some enjoyable, great moments to be said. And definitely from the start of this, they gave a lot more like stuff to Giorno at the start, and I can already tell like some of the differences with the anime is already making me like Giorno a lot more than I previously did. But this episode, let's talk about him and his introduction and our main protagonist, as we see as sort of a little bit of the passing the baton, or more like he stole his way to passing the baton, as the most, I would say, controversial Joestars, both in canon and also as well for the fandom as well, Giorno Giovanna. So this one is being taken place in Italy this time, and I believe this is like start of the 2000s that this one takes place, and we get to see that this 15-year-old blonde-haired kid and all that is actually like a little bit on the deck. He like actually does a little bit of scamming, a little bit of like stealing here and there, but it seems like he does have a good side to him. Like you see like very early on, which is what the anime added, actually, kind of like what they did with part 4 with Kira. They added this moment of him meeting some girls, giving them a guidance, and this guy ended up stealing one of their wallets, and Giorno got it back, pulled it back and gave it back to her, but he sneakily managed to actually pull out some money of his own. So like it's quite fun actually what they actually did with this. Like, I honestly had a lot of fun with what they personally did with like some of the stuff. Like it really set a little bit of a different light on him, whereas like he's a little bit more of a trickster in this kind of like mind, I would say. And when you see like these little weird little butterflies like coming around, and then it suddenly turns into money, and it's like, wait, so he has an ability that can control like and metamorphose things into animals? Like it's a very weird ability when you first see it, like especially Golden Experience, because we're not calling it Golden Wind, because that's the thing you gotta get used to as well with these parts, is that they're gonna be changing a lot of names for this part. But you see where Koichi appears from part 4, where he's actually been sent out here to Italy on a mission for Jotaro, who is like, I need information on this kid immediately. I need to find out anything about him. He looks a little bit different, mainly for the fact, and very scaringly as they find out, is what is up with this character, and finding out that he is technically a Joestar and that he is Dio's kid. You see him with the birthmark on his neck. You see him like that he has a stand ability, and that apparently his father is Dio Brando. And you're thinking, how can that be? Like, how can he be a Joestar then? It's like, this happened when he had Jonathan's body, so, and it would explain during kind of sort of like the timeline as well, where he grew up. So again, it's such an interesting like perspective to see from him like on there. And it's like the fact that like he's only Koichi is only a couple of years like older than him. Like, and you think about it happened at some part during that moment where he was raised, and clearly he doesn't know about his father from where it looks like at the moment, and it leads up to him getting into a little bit of trouble, whereas like Koichi's after him, although they meet by like coincidence because stand users attract stand users. Like Giorno tries to rob him when he was trying to like take care of his luggage, and he got like, wait, what the hell is going on with his ability, like stopping down the car, and it was like using his Echo's Act 3 on there to like kind of screw him up. And it even got him in trouble with some of the, like some gang members, like this guy like Leaky Eye Luca, who, how he gets dealt with is so goddamn brutal, where Giorno's ability not only seems to metamorphise like his ability like that he can do with like the insect and all that, but apparently if you hit them they reverse the damage, as we've seen. And Jesus Christ, this guy Luca gets it so bad. Like, he was trying to extort Giorno anyway, and when it hits like this frog that was originally like the suitcase, it smashes into him, and you just see the back side of his head just entirely caved in, and it is brutal. It is horrifying to see that, and it's like, oh, of course, don't worry about that. Like, there are some more horrifying things, to say the least, in Jojo. Like, it's not, like, when you look at it, it's like, oh, that's bad, oh, that's rough, you do not want to look at that. I want to say at least as well, because, one thing to say early on is like they're clearly going with the updated Part 5 design. Like, same thing with like Part 4, like when we saw very early on, because like the one thing I did not like about Giorno very early on was his design. Like at first, it was like I really wasn't like kind of interested like in it at first, but I do like the really updated like kind of dark edgings that they got around across the faces and all that. Even as well, you can tell with Koichi that he's a lot older. Like, you can tell that he's like definitely grown, but they still kept him, and a little bit you see a Jojo in like kind of it's more Part 4, but you can tell that there has been a little bit of a transition for the characters for the most part. So I do like that little moment, at least not that they added onto there. And overall, like when you see like Koichi's chasing after this guy, and he's like, give me back my fucking suitcase, give me back my passport, like I need to know, because he happened to find him again after he contacted Jotaro. He's like, where I need to find this kid right now, like give me my shit right now, and like straight up, like I want to know, I want my passport, I want money. And then he runs away and able to sprout out this little tree ability, and even Koichi like freaks the hell out as like, Jesus Christ, like what is going on with this guy's abilities on there. And it's like, you like, just definitely with this episode there is just so much going on. I think they cover like 4, 5 chapters, if anything, with this first one, because it ends up with him getting in trouble with a gang member who is part of like the same gang as Leaky Eye Luca was, Bruno Bucciarati. And yeah, you can tell when you're lying, which again always leads up to the most creepiest things in Jojo. Is he can tell if you're lying by licking your sweat, and I'm like, oh my god, yeah, alright Jojo, alright Araki, don't worry about it. Again, you just accept it at this point. It's like, there are weirdos. It's always the most unique thing, I would say, because you're like, yeah, no, I can just tell by it. And the fact that his whole ability seemingly has something to do with a zipper, where he's like, he's able to put things inside of like his mouth, whereas like, oh, he just coughed out, and like he was able to have like an eyeball in his hand, or he had fingers coming out. It's like, this guy is clearly up there. So we didn't get that new opening, but they wanted to cram in as much as possible in this episode, so we didn't get to hear the opening or the ending for this one. But it was like, it makes more sense if they were like, no, this is where they had an idea to stop. And with the confirmation that we are going to be having 39 episodes for Part 5, so that's an interesting amount to go, to say the least, and all that we're going to be having for this season of Jojo, to say the least, and all that. Considering that, like, that is the exact same amount that Part 4 have, so we're going to be going around about the same pacing as Part 4. I believe Part 5 is short. Like, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe Part 4 is longer than Part 5, around about. But then again, a lot of Part 4 was very dialogue heavy compared to Part 5, so there's a lot more action scenes, so they're going to be mixing it up like around the part there. But Whether or not we'll be covering this week to week, I don't know, because I had the same thing where it's like part 4 was one of my favorite parts. Like, again, like, it still is, like, compared to 7 and 4 are, like, really high up for me, and personally, I really want to see part 6 as well. I like part 6 too, and it's like, these are the parts I want to see animated, and I got one of them already, and, like, again, I'm hoping that the adaptation to this does make me like the Golden Wind a lot more, because it's still, compared to other shonens, it's still good, it still has a lot of fun. My main issues with some of the with two things in part 5, and that is the main villain, and that is Giorno himself, and I'm hoping that they can make me care about them a lot more, because again, this was a great episode, it's fantastic, and this is the thing where it's like, I have been spoiled by like reading ahead, because I couldn't wait that long for part 5 to 6 to 7, like on all of them to be adapted. So definitely, I will still say at the moment, my until like all the episodes are out, that's when I'll finally get to say like how I feel more about part 5. But again, like daily production, a lot of people working on this, is their favorite part, and I know full well they're going to be fully exploiting that, and they're going to be doing everything they can to fancy this adaptation up. And again, like, I didn't mind the stuff that they added in there at the start of it. It's a lot more detailed than the one they did with part 4, where it's just like, it's just this really menacing whole little radio thing with Kira. So I'm interested to see what they do with the big bad of this series. So overall, I'm very curious to see what you think about part 5 so far. I really like this episode, and I cannot wait to keep watching this every Friday. So very much looking forward to it. That's all from me. Thanks as always for watching though, and I'll see you guys though next time.